I'm a single woman in a mid-sized city, a pretty gentrified mid-sized city. I hate to admit it, but it makes me feel safer, or it did. I have a good job, so I can afford to live alone, despite the sky-high rent. I have a doorman and cameras in the halls and outside. I don't know how he found my unit or my phone number, but last week, he called me. It was nearly midnight on a stay-in Saturday when my phone went off. I thought it was a spam number, so I ignored it. Then it called again. I sent it to voicemail, but the same number kept popping up on my phone, over and over again. I finally picked up. "Hey, gorgeous," he said. "You finally picked up. About time." "Who is this?" I said. I could feel my skin crawl. How'd this creep get my number? "Don't worry about who I am. You should focus on what I say." "What do you mean, weirdo?" I went for the knife drawer and pulled out a big steak knife. "First, watch how you speak to me. Second, put the knife down. You'll only hurt yourself. Third, listen now." I was stunned. How did he see the knife? Unable to think of what to do, I slowly lowered the knife. "Good," he said. "Now you're going to do exactly what I tell you, and you're going to do it because you're scared, and you don't know where I am, and you know I can see you, and I can hurt you." "Please don't," I whispered back. I could feel my stomach going cold. "I won't if you're good. Now be good and get a cup and fill it with salt and that fancy olive oil you have in your pantry. And mix in a little water. I want you to drink the whole thing," he said. I could already feel my stomach falling out through my ribs. I told him I can't. I'd get sick. He just told me to be good. I made the drink and I drank it. I thought I was going to throw up. He told me to do it again and again, twice more. I said, "Please," and I was so nice. I said, "Please, I can't handle anymore. I feel like I'm going to throw up." He told me I didn't have to. I'd had enough, and to keep being good. Then I got a text message. It was a picture of my bedroom from a different number. "Did you get my text?" he asked. I shivered and told him yes. "Good. Now I want you to grab that bleach in your bathroom. Rub it into your hair. Doesn't matter where, just be good and rub it into your hair and let it sit until you can't take it anymore," he said, and I did. The smell of the bleach and the olive oil and salt in my stomach made my guts churn. I let it sit until the burning was overwhelming, then I rinsed it out. He said that was okay and told me to do it again. "Keep going," he said. "Keep putting in bleach and letting it sit," until he said stop. He said I was being so good. After a couple rounds, I lost count. I looked at my fried hair in the mirror. The salt and olive oil had pulled all the color out of my face. "Good girl," he said. "Such a good girl." The way he said those words chilled me. If I wasn't already nauseous, I would have been then. "Now, the next part," he said. My phone went off again. It was a picture of my parents from another number. I begged him not to harm them. "I won't. Just do a couple more things for me, good girl," he said. He told me to take off my pajamas, to be completely naked. I had to grab my lipstick and smear it on my mouth and teeth, smudge my whole eyes and eyeliner, blush my whole face. I had to go to the kitchen and grab that big knife I put down. "Now," he said, "do you know the song Rainy Days and Mondays by the Carpenters?" I said I didn't, and he said good girls like me have great memories, and that I had to play it over and over until I knew every lyric. My stomach was in knots, and I could feel myself on the edge of throwing up. "Don't throw up," he said, and texted me a picture of my sobbing mother. I listened to that song for hours, remembering every word. It was so schmaltzy and cloying. I just wanted it to end. He had me sing it to him over the phone, the whole thing in one take. "Perfect," he said. "Let's go for a jog. Bring your knife." I told him no, and please. I couldn't. Then another unknown number texted me a picture of my father tied to a pole, gagged and blindfolded. I asked if I could at least wear pants. He said I couldn't. I went down the lobby, ran past my doorman, who was thankfully asleep, and out the door. I kept the phone up to my ear. He told me to start singing that damn Rainy Day song as I ran. He said to be loud. I ran block after block, screaming that song with the knife in my hand. My stomach didn't appreciate the yelling and the hard movement of jogging on pavement. It would be 3 long blocks before I finally threw up on myself. "Keep singing," he said. "Your dad says you're such a good girl." I kept singing. There were some people on the street. They saw me. A couple of them were kids. It was overall 6 or 7 blocks before the police stopped me. I held my phone up to them, trying to show them some crazy guy was telling me what to do, but the call had ended. All the texts were gone. There wasn't even a log of the call. They cuffed me and brought me in. I've been in my cell for days, waiting for my parents to post bail. A couple hours ago, an officer came in with a somber look. He told me they finally got in contact with my parents. My father had been hospitalized for severe blunt force trauma. He could barely speak. My mother was dead. I don't understand. I did everything he asked. I was a good girl. My wife has always had a little jealousy problem. We've been through years of couples counseling and gotten to a good place with it. I have a life outside of our relationship, and while she's a very important part of my life, she isn't the whole thing. She also knows I love her very much and would rather die than lose her. Things had been solid for a couple years when we had dinner that night, me, her, and our twin boys. The day started out so well. We dropped the boys off at school. She dropped me off at work. She went to work. We came home, all of us exhausted. The boys had their soccer league at 4, so my wife and I could make dinner. Then we picked them up and sat down to eat. One of those days that are so simple you forget to enjoy all the little things that are actually amazing. My wife made me coffee that morning, and she had really nailed how I like it. And she looked beautiful too. Done her hair nice and picked a pantsuit that made her body look good. I actually got a little jealous in that moment. Who was she looking good for? But then at dinner, my wife got a call. She was working on a big case, had to divvy up some estate left in a too vague will, so she assumed it was business. She stepped out to take the call, and at first she was shout whispering, angry but quiet. Then she was silent. She came back stone-faced. A cloud seemed to hang over her. I asked what was wrong, but she just ignored me. After dinner, she sent the boys right to bed, which is tough to do to 13-year-old boys. They said they were grown and could go to bed when they want, but they weren't tired. Then they got desperate and started talking about chores and homework. It didn't matter. My wife is a force. Anything against her falls, even teenage boys. After they went upstairs, my wife and I sat in silence for an hour. I asked if she was going to say something, to which she said she was waiting for the boys to fall asleep. Another hour passed, and she stood up and said I cheated on her. I was shocked. I didn't. I hadn't. She said the call was from a woman who wanted to talk as 2 women. She raised her eyebrow like I would know what that meant. I just sat there. Then she said that I was having a years-long affair with this woman and that the woman didn't know about her. I panicked. I said it wasn't true. She walked into the kitchen and came back with a meat tenderizer. She was crying, asking why I didn't love her anymore, what she did wrong. I shot up and she chased me. She was screaming about how she was going to beat the love she needed out of me. "How could I do this?" she said over and over again. Then we heard the word "Mom" from upstairs. She said, "Go back to bed, sweetie," and continued chasing me. She was swinging everywhere, shattering picture frames and lamps. Out of reflex, I swear out of reflex, I pushed her. She knocked the side of her head into the coffee table and just slumped. Bled and slumped. The boys were coming downstairs now. I told them to stay upstairs, don't come. The cop showed up soon after and took my statement. It took them a minute to get into her phone and see the number that called and said I was a cheater. They tried the number, but it was just a dead tone. The call didn't go through. They're investigating now, but think it was a dummy number. It doesn't matter. My wife is gone, and it's because someone played a joke or was trying to destroy our life. I don't know. I really did love her. I would never hurt her. I wish she trusted me more. She might still be here.